Doesn't record.
No, I see.
All right. Okay, here we go. Yesterday we learned that God said to Moses, "Come with me to Paro." And the Rebbe explained that Moses was very reluctant to go into Paro because Paro was too powerful. Either it was too powerful for bad, which is simply, that's the simple narrative of the Torah, or according to the Kabbalah, it was too powerful for good, because the word paro comes from the word to be parua, to be open, totally open. This is a level of godliness which is so high it can't be contained in any way. Pure godliness. And Moses was afraid to go into this level because he was afraid that he would dissolve. He wouldn't be able to carry out his task in the world of taking the Jews out of Egypt and etc. And God said, "You're right. You're right, 100%. This is a level of godliness which is before the world, above the world, the essence of the Torah, higher than the Torah, something like what we just finished learning about. Soviv Kolomim surrounds all the worlds. And I sympathize with you, Moses. Therefore, come with me. Bo Oparo. God said, you come with me. And when you come with me, I'm going to give you new identity, a new way of bringing godliness into the world. You never thought of before. Okay, so it says, according to this, Yuvan, we can understand also what it means, Boral Paro, what it means that God said, come to Paro of Kedusha in this holy level we talked about. Because Moshe Dechil Minei, why God had to tell Moses, come with me, because Moses was afraid. Moses ben Sardagato, Moses in his level, on his own, he was covered Pev, covered Lashon. Moshe, like we said before, he was a very holy person. It was hard for him to speak. Bigalal Riboy Oros, because he had such a high level, which is above any vessels. That's what we said before. Moses, we remember we learned a mimer that Moses was drawn from the world of Tohu before the world was created. Therefore, Moses, Chashash, he worried, how can his thin vessels receive Orod Gadolim, such tremendously high lights as Priyo, Kol Nahorim, from which there are no limits whatsoever? Unlimited light, he wasn't able to receive. Moses was a tremendously high level, but he didn't have the vessels to express this high level of holiness that he had. But that was nothing compared to the level of holiness that God wanted to show to him. Right? There was called this level, which is called paro of holiness. That's the whole novelty of what God said to Moses, Boil Paro. God said to Moses, you are a very high person. You are a very spiritual, holy person. So much so that you can't bring your holiness down to the Jewish people. That's why you can't speak. It's hard for you to speak. This is why I want to take you even to a higher level. Moses said, listen, I'm having troubles with the level that I'm on now. You can't take me to a higher level. He's afraid. And God said, don't worry about it. God took him, Idrin Batu Idrin, chambers after chambers, deeper and deeper. But then, when God went with him, he gave him the power. Power from God's essence. That the vessels of his soul in his body will be able to receive Penemius in an inner way, in a personal way. It'll be his personality. He'll at Kala Giluyim, all the highest revelations from God's essence. The Espriu Vizgalimine Kol Nahorim, that all these revelations will be revealed to him. Hatam al said the reason is who Kizui Tachlis Ashlemos shall call Sedershloshlos, because that's the whole purpose of creation. What's God taking Moses out of the world, out to the essence, to this? Why do this? Why do it? Says the Rebbe, the reason is because that's the whole purpose of why God created the world in the first place. The only reason God created all these upper levels with lights and vessels and Kabbalistic revelations and things like that is only to reveal the essence of God in this world. That the whole world should be like the Holy of Holies. The whole world should be like on Mount Sinai all the time. And so that's why it says that the Jewish people, their souls jumped out of their bodies because they couldn't take the revelation. But in the future, everyone will be able to take it. And what is the revelation? Truth, reality, who we really are. That every human being is precious in the eyes of God, is being created by God directly. What does that mean? What does it mean? We don't know what it means until it's going to happen, but it certainly is going to happen. That's the whole idea. And Moses was the one that began. God took Moses into these upper, deep, hidden levels of reality. Shall call orot paro until this spiritual level, which is called paro. Paro means to be open. At Purim Kolanorim, there's revealed, opened up all of the lights. Why? Why did God do this? Why did he give it to Moses? Why didn't he just take Moses up there and just leave him up there? Take Moses to this high level, and God could have said, listen, Moses, forget the Jewish people. They're just going to give you troubles and aggravation, and you don't need it, and I don't need it. I'll just take you up back to your source. You're going to have lights. You could never believe these lights. What do you say, Moshe? And Moshe said, listen, that's not my thing. My whole thing is that I want to have the Jewish people. They're going to make troubles. I don't want troubles, but Jewish people, that's what they are. And I want to bring the essence of God to the Jewish people. I don't want the Jewish people to be punished. I want the Jewish people to be holy, and I want the whole world to be holy. God said, that's what I want also. I want that God should be revealed in this physical world. That in the measurements, in the limitations of the soul and the body, in this physical world, should be the revelation of God's essence. And therefore, that's why Moses said, God said to Moses, come to Paro. That when he was a soul and a body, he went to Paro of holiness. And he was able to receive at Kol Giluyim all the revelations, the highest revelations. That there is opened up and revealed all of the upper holy lights and etc. So in other words, what's God doing over here? He's uniting the essence of the creator with the creation. And that was what Moses was. And after Moses comes all the other prophets. We just finished learning that when the prophets spoke, that was God speaking. That it was nothing like Moses. When Moshe spoke, it was a totally different revelation. Everyone felt that Moses was saying the words of the creator that's creating them right now. And that this world is a holy place. According to this, and we can also understand why Boel Paro, come to Paro, is Hakdama, is the preface and the beginning of the Geula, of the future redemption that's supposed to come any second now. Nosaf, in addition to the fact that the simple meaning, She'al Yedei Boel Paro, coming to Paro, of the Umatzeh, I mean, let's not leave the simple meaning. Paro was a bad guy. Here we're talking about Paro being the source of all holiness and so on. In fact, Paro was a disgustingly evil, low-life person, right? Paro was debauched and decadent without any end. I mean, without any end. Paro. If Paro was alive today, he would certainly be like the mayor of San Francisco or something like that. Oh, they really would love him. Right? He'd be the president of the United States, no doubt. Right? He could do it. Right? And Paro was a bad guy. Right? Paro was a really bad person. Baal Paro. He encouraged every egotistical, selfish thing you could. Moses was afraid to go into Paro also, because Paro also, where did he get such power to do that? Right? Obviously not from God. He said he was God. He says, no, he got his power from God. Everything comes from God. He says, wow, God made such a power like that. This is the opposite of what we just finished learning, the previous paragraph. God is so tremendously holy and high. Moses was afraid. Here, God gets so low, so disgusting and so bad, terrible. How Moses was not relevant to a thing like that. How could he come to a place like that? So he said, because that's the whole idea. The whole idea is that the holiness, the essence of God's holiness, should come into the egotism of this world and bittul and shvira and break the clip of Paro. There are certain things in this world that God wants us to break. Certain things in the world of God. That's the idea of Amalek, for instance, we said. Paro was another one. Paro had to be broken, not totally broken. We see that in fact he says he survived the drowning in Yam Suf. He became the king of Nineveh afterwards. It said he had troubles over there also. Kifi shehu b'tokfo Ba'armon Hamelech, that the idea is to negate the power of Paro as he was in his castle. Right? Moses went into the castle. This is the beginning of the redemption. Yashnu Bazeh Inyan Ikri. There's a very important thing over here. But you think for a second, why couldn't God just take Paro and fly him out the window? And Paro would come to Moses. Not nice Moses has to come to Paro. Fly him out the window. And Moses could say, hey, Paro, how you doing, man? How do you like it in your palace? I'm not in my palace. You noticed. You're not in your palace. You know how you got here? I said, no, I don't know how I got here. Where are my men? Where are my soldiers? Moses says, take it easy. You got here because the God of Israel brought you here. What do you say now, bucko? You're under my control. You do what I want. Paro said, okay, whatever you want. God didn't do that. God didn't do that. God left Paro in his palace, and he was standing with all his power. All of a sudden, Moses is standing there in front of him. Right? How'd you get over here? He said, I came here to tell you, Paro, let the Jewish people go. Paro said, I should let the Jewish people go. You're telling, no way, right? That's what God wanted, that Paro should be in his ultimate power and selfish certainty, and that there he should be humbled. This is a very important thing. What's the important thing like this? Hashlemus ha'geula de Mitzrayim, the completion of going out of Egypt is lahavi et matan Torah, to bring the giving of the Torah. Lamalot et kavana the dira b'tachtonim, to fill the purpose of making a dwelling in the physical world. Gilui ha'atzmos, the revelation of God's essence below to the Jewish people, souls in bodies, so a healthy soul and a healthy body. Like it's known that in Matan Torah, Hitrapu, called Ben Israel, all the Jewish people got healed at Mount Sinai, including Moses. This is Moshe had a speech impediment, and that at Mount Sinai he got healed. The Yesh Lomo, we can say, this is Marumas is hinted at by Amiras HaKodesh Baruch Hu, what God said to the Jewish people before the Torah was given. Right before the Torah was given, it says, you will be for me, Mamlechet Kohanim, a nation of priests, the Goy Kadosh, and a holy nation. That's what God said right before he gave the Torah, right? You are, Jewish people are a holy nation. In Yitro, right before God gave the Torah, he said the sentence, you Jewish people are going to be a holy nation, a nation of priests. You're going to teach the whole world. You are a holy nation. Shagam kafi she'em goy, even as they are a nation, ba'olam, in this world. I remember I told you that story. Where was it in the beginning of this week? First day of the week. Remember Yisrael Goy Kadosh? I told you the story. The Jewish people are a holy nation, but they are a nation, a people, right? They have a land. That's the whole thing now going on in the world, right? Who does the land of Israel belong to? Is the land of Israel just like a regular land, like every other land? And if so, it's up for grabs. Or is it a holy land? If it's a holy land, then it belongs to the Jews. The Jews are the holy people. No one else is holy. Who does the land belong to? So it says that's the whole idea of the Jews. The Jews are a holy nation. They are part of the world, physical in this world. Nevertheless, being in this physical world, they are holy. The Dargad Mamlechet Kohanim, they become what's called, they are not just holy, they become like a nation of priests. Kohanim Gedolim, high priests. So a Kohen Gadol, that the high priest has to be complete in his body and his money. It says in order to make the high priest has to be rich, and if he's not rich, they make him rich. Even in his garments, the kavod, the tiferet, they have to be beautiful, and even his garments have to be perfect. Shekafisha b'nei Israel, just as the Jewish people are found in souls, in bodies, they're totally one with God. That's supposed to be the idea of the land of Israel, the Holy Land, that people come from all the world and they see, wow, there is a God. Wow, God's creating everything. One of the kids says, Daddy, what did you say? He said, look, we're in the Holy Land. God is creating everything. He says, Daddy, does that mean God is creating me too? I said, yeah, I guess if he's creating everything, that means he's creating you also. Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. But we would have never known it unless we came to the land of Israel. That's the whole idea of the Jewish people being holy, that they reveal God in the world. In other words, that the world is not a world. The world is not what we think it is. The world is a tremendously holy, meaningful, miraculous surprise. Every detail in the world, a miracle. And we have to be grateful to God for everything there is in the world. That you have a shoe, you have a piece of bread, everything is a miracle. Even more. And God makes blessings so that you have not just one shoe, you have 2 shoes, 5 shoes, 10 shoes. You have feet to put the shoes on, healthy feet. Right? You have not just bread, you have bread with butter. You also have meat. You have to have everything is a big blessing, right? That you have the ability to work. One person has to provide for the other, right? People that need things, only certain people can give to other people. There'll be business, things will be successful. There won't be any cheating, there won't be any lying. It'll be a good world, a different world, a miraculous world, a godly world. That's what God wants. That godliness should be revealed in the world. This is the whole big novelty. Because what do usually people think? The world is terrible and you want good. It's after you die. You do what it says in our religion and you go up to heaven and then it's good. But this world is bad. You get a couple pleasures over here, a couple pleasures over there, but main thing is the world to come. That's the main thing. Judaism says the world to come is wonderful, but it's nothing like this world. It's nothing like the world to come is not a surprise. What's the big surprise? That there's no body, there's nothing. It's just, right, pure life. Here we have pure godliness in this world that unites physical with spiritual, the essence of God. Shanivra, that the physical, Shanivra neshama guf, that a creation, soul and a body is limited, will be united with being unlimited, with God's essence. Kafi Moshe, just like Moshe, hitpaleh al kach dechilmine, that Moses was amazed and he was afraid. He didn't think such a thing was possible. And therefore, as a preparation for this, we're talking about the future redemption. In the future redemption, as a preparation for this, what Haya was, Vayomer Hashem Moshe, God said to Moses, come with me to Paro. Shebiyot Hashem Beguv, that being a soul in a body, Moses, Kafishin himself, as he is Medida Vakbala, unlimited human being, the Matzav Shiyachol Liot Sakana, in a place there could be danger, right? Moses didn't want to die, it could be danger. A soul in heaven, he doesn't die. There's no fear. A physical body in the world, Moses was afraid. He was afraid of, according to the Zohar, getting too holy, or he was afraid of Paro. Paro was too evil. So therefore, in order to withstand the evil Paro in this world, so Moses had to resort to being connected to the Paro of holiness. He had to receive the highest revelations up there from the essence of God, that there's revealed all the lights. Then, by means of this, Shechen Hashem, Moshe, that this is the way it was by Moses. Nimshach was driven and brought the power for not just Moses to do it, but for all of the Jewish people to do it. That's what we say, we're a holy nation. That the Jewish people were able to receive this revelation where? At Mount Sinai. The Jewish people were able to receive the Torah. When there is joined together, limited with unlimited. At Priu Kol Nahorim, there is revealed all of the lights of God near mitzvah v'Torah or. So in other words, Moses was afraid to go into Paro, the Paro would kill him. So God said to Moses, now I'm going to change your identity. Your identity is going to be changed. You are no longer Moses, the person. You are now Moses, holy Moses. You're going to be holy Moses. What does it mean, holy? You have no idea what it means. God says, I'm going to give you this power from the essence that's even higher than Paro, that creates Paro, and you're not going to care. Nothing will bother you. You'll be impervious. It'll be impossible. That's how Moses was able to go up on Mount Sinai and talk to God. That suddenly, all of a sudden, this human being, Moses, had all of the lights of godliness, all the revelations of God, in a way that period that they were unlimited, were in Moshe. Kiyadua, like it's known, Torah and mitzvahs, that the Torah and the commandments on their own hand, they are be'etzem l'mayla medida b'gbala. That anytime a Jew does a commandment or he learns the Torah, what he's really doing is, he's not just reading a book or doing a deed. He's really connecting to the essence of God. Externally, it seems like he's doing both. Just like externally, it seems that Moses was a normal person. But the fact is it was totally united with the essence of God. That's how he was able to go and negate Paro. The same thing, Torah and the commandments. The Torah and the commandments are the same revelation as Moses. This is Chachmato, but this is the God's wisdom and God's will. The novelty of Torah and commandments being the essence of God is not the essence of the Torah as it is in the essence of God and the will of God as it is that the commandments are there spiritually. Gam kafishem yordim, even as they are in this physical world. For instance, when the Torah was given, the medida vagbala in a limited way, the kiyumum and shlemusam, and the the fulfilling of these commandments depends on medida vagbala. You have to have the tefillin have to be limited in a limited way. That was the big thing with the tzedukim. The tzedukim came along and they said, we agree that the Torah is holy, but everybody interprets it the way they want. Everything they want to do it. We want to interpret the Torah that we take it exactly literally. It says tefillin, you can put them between your eyes. Does it say they have to be square? No. They could take a round thing and they could put it between their eyes. And the other one says they put the other one is on their hand. It says in the Torah, you have to put it on your hand. You could come back and say it doesn't say tefillin at all in the Torah. It just says it should be a sign. It says, oh, you got a good point, right? So let's make a sign. I remember there came one guy once to the yeshiva. He came and he had a strap tied around his head. Came over. That's my tefillin. That's my tefillin. We told him that let's come in to talk. He said, I don't let my feet leave the ground. I want to be holy. Moses took off his shoes before the holy. That's I'm going to be. You can interpret any way you want to. But the fact of the matter is it's wrong. The Torah has to be, the purpose of the Torah is the essence of holiness, but it has to be in the physical, limited, exact world according to specifications. This measure and limit of them itself is really above limit and measure. Who said that the tefillin have to be exactly square and that they have to be, the straps have to be black and etc.? Who said? That's God. God himself said these things. And this is in the Torah, whether we're talking about the Torah, rather the written Torah or the which is unlimited, mispar mesuyam, but nevertheless it's unlimited, but there's a certain number of letters. You can't just stick in letters in the Torah, or if there's missing, it's also no good. Or whether the Torah, the oral Torah, that you learning it has to be with seichel v'avana. You can't just make up any ideas you want to and say this is the oral Torah. Only if you get the ideas properly can you really make the blessing on the Torah. How much more so on the commandments? The commandments, they're really limited. Many, many details of the commandments. They are limited and measured, right? Why? This is like the lights that come out of God. The lights that come out, that come out of God. Every commandment has a different type of a light of godliness, a different type of a blessing that comes out. But really, the fact is that they all come from God. This is in the way of its priyu. This is really above any limitation. What happens when a Jew does a commandment is incomprehensible. Incomprehensible? Anyway, like it says, it says that the Jewish people, that there won't be able, there'll be a number, but you won't be able to count them because there'll be so many. That doesn't make any sense. If it's a number, you can count them. It says, no, it's a number, but won't be counted. Like we said, like the ark in the Holy Temple was not measurable. It had to be exact measurements, right? 2.5 amas wide and 1.5 amas deep, whatever, 1.5 amas high. Exactly. If it varied from that number, from that measure, it was not any good. But nevertheless, it was not measurable. We talked about that before. It didn't take up any place in the Holy of Holies. It should have taken up 2.5 amas, right? And by 1.5 amas, should have taken something up. But when they measured from the ends of it, it wasn't there. It didn't detract from the measure of the Holy of Holies where it was. How could it be? It says it's impossible, but that's what it was. The place of the ark was not measurable. From this, we can also learn on the service of every Jew that we receive the Torah and do our commandments, that even though the that the commandments seem to be limited, even though that it seems that the Torah is found in the physical world, just like Jews are found in souls and bodies in the physical world, and they're limited in Kolamadid with all the limitations that are in this, right? You learn a little tiny bit about medicine, about first aid. You learn how incredible, you don't have to learn anything at all. You see, you have a little hole in your finger that comes pouring blood out. Why? Why can't I just expand myself? Huh? Like these guys in Crown Heights, let's make a tunnel, let's expand. You know, what's the problem? I'll expand my body. I'll make a little hole over here. What's the problem? I want to be bigger. You can't do it. There's limitations. But nevertheless, it has to be, when you're doing these limitations, it has to be a thing that's above limitation. Not because of the soul. The Torah, the soul is pure, and the soul is above limitation. That we can understand. But even how with the soul, the commandments and the Torah is below in this physical world, limited. That God, you keep the Torah inside of me. I'm the soul. You keep the soul inside of me. You know, I think I told you the story, but I go every day since the war started. I go to this hospital right nearby, and I stand in this open place, and I put tefillin. I ask people if they want to put on tefillin. Usually, I'm standing there for a half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, and there's usually bare minimum 10 people, 15 people put on tefillin. And then one guy started screaming at me, and he said, "That's idolatry. What you're doing? That's idolatry. Judaism." I said, "What's idolatry? Judaism doesn't have any physical things. What are your physical things? Religion, Judaism is spiritual. You have to be spiritual, like Abraham was spiritual. But what is this boxes you're making of this?" But the Jewish people have been doing it for 3,300 years. You know, so they're all wrong. All of Judaism has changed. All Judaism isn't worth anything anyway. It's not the whole thing. So I said, "Well, are you sure you're Jewish? Maybe you're not Jewish." So I'm just as Jewish as you. So I said, "Well, what's it so important to you that you're Jewish? You just finished saying that Judaism is nothing and that all the commandments are a big bluff and that the whole thing is a big mistake. So it's a big mistake. Why are you so adamant and excited about being Jewish?" He said, "I don't know." So I said, "Well, I mean, it must be really important to you." I said, it's important. It is no less important to you. That's important to me. I said, and that's where the commandments, they come from the soul. They're connected to the soul. It's not connected to logic. The same place our soul comes from, that's where the commandments come from. They come from God. The same way your soul is important to you, you're a Jew, so the commandments are also important. I said, "Okay, I'll think about it." The point of the conversation was, don't think that just because the commandments are limited, then therefore it's not anything to do with God. Something made up. Says the Rebbe exactly the opposite. That is really the essence of God. In some way, it's even higher than the soul. Moses was afraid to go into Paro, into these higher levels, because he was afraid of unifying this level, which unified physical and spiritual. Unified. Every time you do a commandment, it should be come into Paro, going into Paro. That's it. Yeah, one second. I lost the. Oh, here it is. Dvar. That's prior to call me. Every time you do a commandment, you should know that you are attaching yourself to this incredibly high level of godliness, that you're receiving all of the lights of God. And even more than this, that the limited world and yourself becomes also unlimited, above them any limitation. And the reason for this is because the Jewish people and God are totally one. Not just the Jews are one because of their soul, but because their whole being of a Jew is a soul in a body, is totally one with God. That's what it means. We're sons of God. The Tanya explains it, the second chapter. So to speak, he adds an essence. When you take a little bit of it, you're taking the whole thing. So every Jew is a little bit of the essence of God. That's Kamuvan, like it's explained in the Pasuk. That's why we got the Torah. That's why we have the land of Israel. That's what the word holy means. Like it's explained according to the Ramban, that the whole purpose and the reward of everything is souls in bodies, the raising of the dead, souls in bodies. There are other opinions. There's not the souls alone. The Rambam says not, but the Ramban disagrees with him. Adarab, even more. In the future, the soul will get fed from the body. So somehow or other, the body is even higher than the soul, as we're going to learn, God willing, more tomorrow. Doesn't stop. Here we go.